the wisdom to know the difference just for today.
It's 8:30 in the morning at the jail in Louisville, Kentucky. For these prisoners, every day starts with something called a morning meditation.
I'm Lisa, I'm an addict.
Hi, Lisa.
They're part of the jail's voluntary drug treatment program called Enough is Enough. Like most in the program, Shanna Sermon is struggling with an addiction to opioids like pain pills and heroin.
The more painful something is to talk about, the more important it is to bring it up for discussion. It's my most favorite part of the day. I've never been much of a morning person, and we have goals. We say what we're grateful for. It gets us used to being up early. It gets us used to becoming a habit of what we're supposed to be doing.
Sermon says she started drinking and taking pills when she was only 10 years old and eventually became addicted to heroin. She tried going to a treatment clinic but kept using anyway. Arrested for burglary, this is Sermon's 16th time behind bars, but she says this time jail saved her life.
You know, I didn't really think I would ever find this kind of help, but to find it in a jail, you know, when I try to explain to the new girls that come in that, you know, there's hope.
Wake up.
The Enough is Enough program lasts at least 90 days, and participants are housed in 4 dormitories, 1 for women and 3 for men. They're kept separate from the general population where contraband drugs are more common, because in here, the inmates hold each other accountable for their behavior.
I'll take responsibility for my actions.
There's a strict daily schedule of meetings and therapy.
It's me wanting to do something different with my life and change. You know?
And classes.
Now you have the information to change.
On changing the way you think and act.
When it's deeply ingrained, it's something that I've learned at a very early age.
Some taught by the prisoners themselves.
Or told a lie and was successful at that lie, I began to tell myself that I could start doing that on a regular basis and I could get away with it.
And like a growing number of jails across the country, the Louisville jail now offers inmates the option of a Vivitrol injection at the end of their sentence. It's a medication heavily marketed to jails and drug courts that blocks a person's ability to get high.
This is a corrections facility. It's not a healthcare facility. So, I mean, is this the right place to be doing this work?
It's not a detox center. It's not a mental health facility. It's not an emergency room, but it is.
Steve Durham is the jail's assistant director.
It was a challenge that was given to us by what was happening in this community. And what we said is, we're not going to do nothing. We're going to do something.
Kentucky is one of the states hit hardest by the nation's opioid epidemic. In 2015, it had the 3rd highest drug overdose death rate, driven by opioids. In the Louisville area alone, the number of opioid overdose deaths increased by 40% between 2015 and 2016. Durham blames the opioid epidemic for the jail's population surge in recent years. The jail has 1,800 beds, but there are 2,300 people here now, so many sleep in cots on the floor.
The same old crimes, but it's really driven by substance abuse, and if we look at it, we drill into it, we're really seeing the impact of heroin use.
Durham says 85% of his prisoners are struggling with substance abuse, and 60% of those who go through this jail's detox program arrive addicted to opioids.
Jail is supposed to be punitive, so to speak, but we don't come from that approach. We look at people as humans, not as inmates.
Ken Wright runs the jail treatment program.
So look at it not so much as an obstacle, but as an opportunity.
Wright says addressing drug issues in a jail setting just makes sense.
Well, first of all, you have a captive audience. They can't go anyplace. Everybody wants to change. They just don't know how to change.
Hold open, please, hold open.
Despite the high levels of drug abuse among the jail population nationwide, few U.S. jails offer drug treatment programs. They don't allocate the funds or have the physical space. And jails that do provide treatment struggle to meet the demand. In Louisville, there are only 64 beds dedicated to the program. Dr. Joshua Lee studies opioid addiction in jails and says providing prisoners treatment is essential. That's because when people confined to jail for weeks or months withdraw from drugs, their tolerance is lowered, which increases the chance of an overdose when they leave.
They go usually right back to using heroin, and when that happens, their tolerance has been decreased and the risk of overdose is quite high on average, and it's a real risky time. So if you're not doing anything to mitigate that risk or to treat the disorder itself, you're kind of blowing it in terms of public health opportunity.
In Kentucky, 23 of the state's 80 jails offer drug treatment.
Between 2012 and 2016, the number of inmates here detoxing from opiates tripled from around 2,000 to 6,000. Authorities here say the numbers are on track to be even worse this year.
On any given day, as many as 120 new prisoners are identified in need of detoxing. After being searched, they're sent to one of the drug treatment dorms.
I'm gonna read y'all some rules.
A key part of the Enough is Enough program is that participants monitor and care for those going through withdrawal.
I was once there, I know how it is. If you need help with washing your clothing or anything, we're here to help y'all.
Todd Lega helps monitor the new inmates. He's a recovering heroin addict who's been to jail 14 times.
It's definitely changed me. I actually care about people now. So I have a lot of empathy and sympathy toward the newcomer.
Before jail, on the outside, had you ever tried to seek help?
I was court ordered one time. I didn't want no help. I didn't think I needed help. I didn't take it seriously. I was high in the meetings, groups. I've been here time and time again in this orange jumpsuit.
While people like Lega have been able to get clean here in jail, Ken Wright says sobriety is a challenge when the 24/7 safety net is gone.
Have you seen people complete the Enough is Enough program and then come back in?
Yes. Unfortunately, relapse is a reality. Well, there's not enough resources in the community once they leave. That's the biggest challenge. And so if those needs are not met immediately, they will revert back to what's familiar to them. They live a very destructive type of life. They cry out for failure. And sometimes we just don't have them long enough.
The Louisville jail doesn't collect follow-up data on participants in its drug treatment program once they leave the jail. But the Kentucky Department of Corrections reports that, statewide, half the people who went through a substance abuse program in jail say they stayed off illegal drugs for at least a year following their release. 3/4 say they regularly attended Alcoholics and Narcotics Anonymous meetings. Since Bridget Wilder got out of the Louisville jail a year ago, she's stayed clean and attends AA meetings every week. She has a steady job to support herself and her 2 kids, and is also pursuing an associate's degree.
You know, I can't wait to wake up in the morning because I'm just ready to live, you know? Like, it's never been like that.
Where do you think you'd be today if you hadn't had treatment in jail?
I'd probably be dead.
Wilder says medication was a crucial part of her recovery. Before leaving jail, she received 2 injections of Vivitrol. Then outside the jail, Wilder had 7 more monthly injections at a free community health clinic.
Vivitrol is a shot.
In Louisville, jail officials educate the inmates about Vivitrol with videos and reading materials. But some experts worry about the growing use of Vivitrol in jails.
We're seeing a treatment that doesn't have strong evidence supporting its use being over-promoted.
Dr. Andrew Kolodny directs the Opioid Policy Research Collaborative at Brandeis University. He'd rather see doctors prescribe 2 other drugs that have been around longer, buprenorphine and methadone. They have much more data supporting their effectiveness for treating opioid addiction.
We have effective medicines that could be saving lives, and not enough people are accessing them. We should be giving them the treatment that we know will give them the best shot at survival and at a good quality of life. We know what works, and we shouldn't be gambling with Vivitrol on that population.
But Joshua Lee thinks differently.
Is Vivitrol better than nothing? Absolutely. All the 3 medications should be used routinely, commonly, and with as little barriers to access as possible in community treatment as well as in criminal justice systems.
Vivitrol is not an opioid, but buprenorphine and methadone are. And that concerns Steve Durham. He doesn't want narcotics in his jail.
They have the potential for abuse. They have the potential to be used as contraband. They have the potential to become barter inside a detention facility. Most detention facilities are a little hesitant to do that.
I'm Shauna.
Shauna Sermon wants to get the Vivitrol injection before she leaves. She also hopes the jail social worker can find her a spot right away in a residential treatment program, because she knows staying clean is going to be hard.
I'm really nervous, but I'm excited. I'm excited because I've seen what this has done for me in here. I can't wait to get the real aspect of it outside.
President Trump has given a new commission 90 days to come up with ideas to address the deadliest drug crisis in American history. More than 52,000 people have died of a drug overdose in 2015, mostly from heroin or other opioids. The acting head of Drug Enforcement Administration spoke only with CBS this morning about his plans to help the White House tackle the epidemic. Tony DeCopel's in Louisville, Kentucky, where he got a firsthand look at the desperate fight to save lives right now. Tony, good morning.
Good morning. Deaths from opioid overdoses have more than quadrupled since 1999, and that's made ambulances like this one very, very busy. Some of the most severe devastation has been right here in Kentucky, and paramedics who used to go days without a single overdose are now lucky if they go just a few hours.
Paramedic Mary Taylor rushes to as many as 25 drug overdoses in a single day.
And do you think it's peaked?
I don't know. I mean, it couldn't get much worse.
But on this day, an overdose came to her. Taylor joined a team trying to revive a young man driven to this hospital in the back of a green sedan.
Hey, coming alive. Hey, come on, man. We saved your life. Come on out and get the car.
The patient arrived unconscious and barely breathing, but just minutes later, he walked out on his own.
Oh, that's him.
That's him.
Hey, buddy.
That's him.
Come on, let me talk to you for a second. What just happened?
What happened was a rescue. Paramedics, sensing a heroin overdose, gave the man naloxone, a drug that stops the effects of opioids.
I don't think we're ever going to arrest or enforce or prosecute our way out of most social ills.
DEA Administrator Chuck Rosenberg blames the epidemic's rising toll on a change in use. While deaths from painkillers have plateaued at about 17,500 a year, deaths from substitutes like heroin and potent synthetic opioids have surged to 22,500.
I got to tell you, it scares the hell out of me. These things can be lethal, believe it or not, to the touch.
In another era, the DEA would have responded with force alone. But in late 2015, Rosenberg launched the 360-degree strategy that blends traditional police work with public education.
Changing behavior is tough, but we have to keep at it. We have to talk to middle and high school kids, and we just have to be relentless about it.
Louisville is one of the program's pilot cities.
It really affects all parts of the city, all socioeconomic classes, all races.
Jim Scott is the agent in charge of the DEA's Louisville office.
Have you seen a reduction in overdoses since the program began?
No, we haven't. No, the numbers have actually increased.
In a single 4-day stretch in February, 151 overdoses rocked the city.
It hurts. Yes, it hurts, because they're not just spikes, they're people.
Near the end of another day in Louisville, Mary Taylor would welcome relief, but she's guarded about President Trump's chances of providing it.
Good luck. We're all looking for a way to do it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Now, the DEA believes it has slowed the opioid crisis, if not stopped it. President Trump, meanwhile, has repeatedly promised to do even more, but so far his administration is short on specifics, and critics fear that this new commission to study the problem is just more talk. Alex?
Wow. Tony, thanks. That is a staggering number of deaths from this.
No, listen, they're calling it the deadliest drug crisis in American history. Drug enforcement officials, health officials have been talking about this for quite a while now, but I don't think the public really realizes
it is a crisis.
How serious this is.
Opioid abuse, as we know, has become a national epidemic, and Kentucky is actually one of the places in which we see that, especially even more so, as one of the biggest problems in the country is here in Kentucky. So we have a responsibility to try and combat that. In a large sense, it's a problem we created over the number of years since we're often prescribing these medications. So it's important that we understand addiction better and understand how we can prescribe opioids and care for people's pain responsibly.
Well, these are our patients, and this is one of our #1 public health problems in the Commonwealth is opiate addiction. And so it just makes sense that we are doing the best to help our population and the people that we treat here at UK.
And I think conceptually,
part of the issue is that a lot of people in the world think of opioid abuse or substance abuse in general as a choice on some level. And I mean, maybe there were poor decisions made early on, but the reality is that it goes beyond poor decisions and it becomes a change in brain chemistry and it becomes an actual disease process. And so I think that that's where people don't recognize it, is that this is something that's beyond the control of the individual. And so, you know, it's really easy for us to get mad at somebody because they're, there's a fetus involved or a child involved, but it's, it truly is a disease. And so they're coming for help, just like somebody who has poorly controlled type 1 diabetes, et cetera, needs medical care.
You know, overall, Lexington and the University of Kentucky have a very long history, going back decades now, of doing clinical research that is translational to patient care, characterizing opiate dependence, opiate withdrawal, and having their hands on the studies that demonstrated that medications can be effective for the treatment of this medical disorder.
Well, singer Demi Lovato is now recovering after a suspected drug overdose. She is just the latest celebrity to publicly battle an addiction, but it's a problem affecting countless others, daughters, brothers, mothers, fathers, and a problem, of course, that is plaguing our country.
Experts say at least a person will relapse at least 8 times on average before getting sober. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Lisa Hudson in for Doug Proffitt.
And I'm Rachel Platt. And our Shay McAllister talked with a Kentuckiana addiction expert and joins us with details on local resources available close to home. Shay?
Right, Rachel, Lisa, overdose deaths are on the rise in Kentucky, according to a new report released today. And it's an epidemic seen across the country, but we have people and places ready to help right here in Louisville. Most in Kentuckiana know someone struggling with addiction.
If you don't know someone personally, you know someone who knows someone personally.
New numbers show just how prevalent the problem is. An 11.5% increase in fatal overdoses. Police say more than 1,500 people died from drug use in 2017. It's something resource centers like the Healing Place don't want to hear.
It's pretty disheartening to see it going up, but it's not surprising.
The Kentucky Office of Drug Control Policy says fentanyl plays a big part in the problem. The drug deemed the deadliest and most addictive in the nation.
It's really dangerous. Like I said, people don't know what they're getting, and it's a lot stronger than any other opioid out there.
The fight against fentanyl and other deadly drugs is a tough one in Kentucky. But state officials and more than 100 substance abuse treatment centers in our area say they are determined. And tonight, they want you to know, help is not hard to find. And if you or someone you know is struggling, there is a phone number you can call to start finding help. You see it on the bottom of our screen right there, and we have also posted it on our website. It is 1-833-8KY-HELP. There are live specialists waiting on the other end to discuss treatment options and resources in your area right now. Shay McAllister, WHAS
Suing
11
Walgreens.
News.
Days ago now, the Kentucky Attorney General told us another opioid-related lawsuit was coming, and here it is, folks. 9 on your sides. Jake Ryle is live to tell us why this lawsuit hits a little closer to home. Jake?
Well, that lawsuit would actually be filed right here in northern Kentucky, and from what we understand, it would be filed in the Boone County Circuit Court. This would mark the 6th lawsuit against opioid distributors, distributing companies the state has filed. Bashir says Walgreens has had a dual role in the epidemic as a distributor and a pharmacy. Local treatment centers have seen as much as a 20% increase in patients here in northern Kentucky since the beginning of the year. Bashir says the lawsuit is about doing the right thing.
That means Walgreens, as a company, knew not only how many opioids were flooding into Kentucky or any community, but even how many opioids were going to a single family. That gave Walgreens real-time data and a front-row seat as opioids flooded and devastated our communities.
We win this battle. We ultimately come out ahead knowing that we have to fight for inches every single day. That the worst thing that we can do is nothing.
Now, Walgreens has responded to this lawsuit actually just recently, over a few hours or so ago, saying we are declining to comment because the matter is the subject of a pending litigation. We'll continue to stay on top of it, provide updates on WCPO.com. For now, reporting live in Fort Wright, Jake Ryle,
Tonight, 9 on your side is hitting the street to answer the question of how to keep heroin users off the roads you and your family drive on every day. Now, 9 on your side's Tom McKee first told you about a special team targeting heroin highways in February. Tonight, he has a closer look at their progress and the discovery of a heroin rush hour.
I-275 and I-471 through Fort Thomas have become known as heroin highways because the large number of heroin-related arrests made by the Fort Thomas Police hit team. I rode with Officer Nick Hoffman, who tells me many stops are before 9 a.m. during what's called heroin rush hour.
They'll wake up, run over to Cincinnati, get their stuff, and they're on their way back.
Hit team members watch for certain things on patrol.
We're looking for any type of driving violation, equipment violations, things that would indicate an intoxicated driver.
Friday's first stop was a seatbelt violation, the next for a cracked windshield. No drugs in either. When heroin is involved, though, Hoffman hates it when children are in the car.
They have no choice in the matter, and it's their parents putting them in that situation, which I have zero tolerance for.
But that's exactly what he found at the next stop. 2 young women in a car. The driver with a purse containing 3 syringes of what was suspected to be heroin.
Most likely charged with possession of drug paraphernalia.
And a young child was in the back seat.
Seen it way too much.
New data shows 150 police contacts since February, with 2/3 of them related to heroin or opiates.
We thought we'd have some. We didn't know how bad it would be. We were astonished by the numbers that we are seeing.
Lieutenant Rich Whitford says the hit team's success is being noticed by drug users.
And they're telling us that the word's out to stay away from 471, 275 because the hit team's out there.
There's now a new hit team wrinkle. Detainees get this wristband from Northern Kentucky Hates Heroin and information on how to get help.
It's a fact. You're either going to go to jail, you're going to die, or hopefully you can beat this devil and you can try to get the help.
Where do the people who've been cited or arrested actually come from? Well, the data shows that the largest number has an Amelia mailing address in Claremont County. Tom McKee, 9 on your side.
Kentucky says
Thomas.
It's like putting a bandage on a bullet wound.
Covington has a frightening heroin problem. 9 News reporter Jeremy Glover goes in depth tonight looking at the problem and what's being done to stop it.
It's like many other U.S. cities. Kids at the park. Citizens enjoying the surroundings. It's business as usual. But if you take a closer look, you'll find an unwelcome visitor in the streets of Covington.
Heroin's become epidemic proportions in this area. It's basically replaced crack cocaine as the drug of choice among most addicts.
Over the past 2 years, authorities in Covington say they've noticed an alarming increase in heroin use and overdoses in their city.
We have probably 1 to 2 heroin arrests a day.
Officials believe users primarily purchase the opiate-based drug outside of Covington.
We do have some concern that the actual trafficking portion of it is taking place in Cincinnati, or often perhaps right off of our exit ramps.
They come across the river, get off the first exit, and start shooting up.
That was the case with this man, 29-year-old Robert Kirby. He's currently serving an 18-month sentence after specialist Jeff Cook caught him injecting heroin into his arm in Speedway's parking lot at 5th and Philadelphia. Kirby's 3 children watched from the back seat.
He had his 3 daughters in the car. I think the oldest one is about 4 years old, and when he pitched the needle into the back of the car, he almost stuck one of his daughters in the foot.
Just 1 block away, Amy McAfee plays with her 3 children at Goebel Park. She says she moved her children across the river to get away from violence and drugs.
Yeah, I just don't want my kids to walk outside and like pick a needle up or somebody to come up to them and try to give them something.
5 months ago, Covington Police partnered with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office to launch an initiative called Operation Blue Horse to target users of this deadly drug. Officials say they don't have the resources to help free these people from their addictions, but locking them up is a step in the right direction.
A lot of these folks just need some help. So if we can get them incarcerated and get them into a justice track that will get them the type of assistance they need to get off the drug, it's better for all of us.
In Covington, Jeremy Glover, 9 News.
Sharonville
Chad. This is my wife, Leslie. I started doing drugs probably in 1991 or 92. I drove a truck over the road and run from Morgantown to El Paso twice a week. Didn't get a lot of sleep, and I started using methamphetamine. Done that for several years, owned my own trucking company, and still was using drugs, and throughout 14 to 16 years, most of my time I was doing methamphetamine. I started making dope because it was so expensive to get, and started cooking dope. Done that for, I don't know, a pretty good stretch of time, and ended up getting caught at my house in my garage with some friends of mine, and ended up going to jail. 3 months later, they indicted my wife on the same charges and charged her with manufacturing methamphetamine, and we ended up losing our kids for 6 months, 6 or 8 months now. But our parents are watching over our kids while they go to school and stuff. And she had to go to rehab too in Nicholasville at Grace Happens. I came to Isaiah's house in January. I've been here about 9 months, and rededicated my life to the Lord in January, and just try to change things for the better for me and my family. The drug addiction I've been in just caused my family a lot of time away from their dad. My girls, we have 4 girls, and we have twins on the way. I'm supposedly going to the penitentiary in January of this coming year. The Isaiah House has been a good thing for me, and they've helped me change my life and turn things around, and also helped me to be a better dad and a better husband to my wife, and try to make things better at home for my family when I do get to go home. And I'd like to ask people to pray for me and maybe get a miracle, something turn around. Maybe I won't have to go to the penitentiary.
We've been married for about 5 years, and we've been together for about 10. Chad and I first started using together in about the year 2000, and I had no children at the time and no worries, so we just took life as it came and dealt with life on our terms. And then when children started coming into the picture, we decided, we would stop our use for a while, and then we would eventually get back into it. And this past November, when Chad got in trouble, it was a rude awakening for all of us. All I knew is Chad worked very hard to try to support me and the girls, and he was gone a lot, and I wasn't happy about that, but we paid the bills, and he did what he had to do to support us. And in January, when he decided to commit to a year here at Isaiah House, I thought it was a great thing, great opportunity for me and the family to finally get our lives turned around, finally start living like we're supposed to. And then in February, I was indicted. I've been working as a registered nurse, and have my license suspended and it's just been a nightmare. And I've been in rehab for 6 months, almost. In November will be 6 months. And I'm just ready to get all this behind us and be a family again. Twins are coming in December, and we just need everyone's prayers, because we would love to have Daddy with us at home. And Jill, I don't even want that to be an option. So if we could just have your prayers, we'd greatly appreciate it.